Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 2, Episode 8. Marvin.
Oh,
Marvin.
Marvin. Ow,
Okay.
Marvin.
See, here's the thing. Power Universe 50. I know you guys don't want to give us good things, happy things. This is a sad world where a lot of sad things happen, but how is it right when Marvin is starting to get a little bit of it together, finally, you do this? How dare you?
How many people out there think that Marvin is dead? Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think that if he even got shot, that we would have seen him on the ground. I think they would have given us that, but you guys let us know in the comments. I don't think that he's dead, but I think Miss Renee, she's gone. I feel really bad. I mean, things really have been coming together for Marvin, and that whole conversation they were having where she's like, you deserve happiness, make sure you know that you deserve this, like to feel good about yourself, and to have her go, it could be a setback for him. Is it going to throw him all the way back? I don't think so. But, Marvin sometimes just can't get out from in front of himself.
We are going to talk even more about that, about Jukebox as well. There's a lot to get into with that. Yeah, this episode is just really out to hurt us from start to finish. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We will be here through the rest of Raising Kanan. Whenever Power Book 2 Ghost comes back, we'll be here for that as well. We don't want you guys to miss any of that.
Also, it's Matt's birthday coming up very shortly, so if you want to give him a gift, hit that subscribe button. Follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We have a whole bunch of pictures up from Matt's birthday celebration this weekend, so we would really appreciate that.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, let's start with everything with Jukebox and Marvin. My absolute most favorite part of this episode, and actually all season, has been the stuff between Jukebox and Marvin. And that whole scene in the car after everything that happened with Jukebox's mom, we will get into that. That scene was just so important and so well done to see where, Marvin's kind of like, hey, I'd like to talk about this a little bit. We see some maturity from Jukebox where she's learning as well, where she's like, yes, we're going to have this conversation. Yes, I'm open to it. But after everything that just happened, you just need to give me a minute. And Marvin's like, okay, I'm okay with that. That's fine. And as she's leaving, he's kind of saying, listen, words are really important. We all know what he said to her. He was like, oh man, I can't believe I said that. But that he really owns up to it right away, to just be like, listen, words are really important. I got to choose my words really carefully with stuff like this. I really want things to go in a different direction because words have meaning. And you can see, a smile on Jukebox's face where she's like, I really see my dad is changing and things are moving in a way better direction for us. And even him being like, you called me dad. Ow, it's so cute. Like, things are moving in a really positive direction for both of them. And I'm really happy to see that.
Of course, there's been a lot of people, I think, online who have been like, why hasn't Jukebox been like told more specifically about what Marvin is doing, the anger management? But at the end of the day, let's just put it this way. Marvin could be going to these classes and it could be doing nothing for him. He could not be learning anything about it. Like, it's important that he's going, but what actually matters more so than like the act of him going is the act of him taking something away from it and applying it to his actual life. And that's something that, there's at least an acknowledgement of in this scene where Jukebox sort of says, I recognize what's happening. She understands that there is a change underway. She is kind of putting herself forward to say, okay, you know what? I'm willing to give this a shot because I see something out of you. And he is also showing, patience, where he's not just doing the thing of like, look at me, I'm changing. Now you need to accept my change on my terms and do things exactly the way that I want them to. There's just a nice really symbiotic relationship with the two of them that I'm sure is probably going to be subject to some other twist that's going to make us sad, because that is this show.
Yeah, I was really happy that he didn't sort of just march out. I went to these classes and look how good I'm doing.
Yeah.
He just showed her everything that he's learned and everything he's doing, even when he went to go confront her mom. And, you know, he was pretty mad, but he held it together and used his words and figured it out another way and showed Jukebox that there is another way to deal with things, because, you know, there is another way to deal with things, and he is doing it in another way, which also, I mean, we all know where Jukebox ends up, but right now Marvin is showing her as her dad, as the adult, that there's other ways to do these things. But I thought that it was a really important thing that we had that voiceover from 50 talking about Jukebox, because a lot of us have all been like, what's that one thing that's gonna turn Jukebox into the person that we know she ends up becoming? And he had this dialogue and this narrative where he was just like, it's not always just one thing. Sometimes there's a lot of things. And I think that that's really true to life in general. It's not always just one big event that changes somebody. It can be, and oftentimes is, a lot of smaller betrayals, things that happen when you're very young, like Jukebox is still very young, and she has dealt with an incredible amount of stuff that lots of people don't go through even during their entire lifetime. And she's not even an adult yet. And the amount of things she's gone through is just so heavy.
Yeah. And with that in mind, I think, you know, we gotta jump into the time machine here for a minute.
Beep, bop, boop, 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 boop.
All right. Now we are back in the past to one of the most difficult and horrible scenes in the entire show. What happens to Jukebox with, you know, Kenya, her mom, everybody, you know, with the church, what they try to do with her. It is awful. It is despicable. It really sort of sets in motion everything where, you know, she's starting to sort of realize after the fact that, okay, you know, Marvin has said some of the things that he has said for a reason. Rock has said some of the things that she has said for a reason. They're basically trying to convert her, and it's awful. They're telling her she can't be who she is. But online, one of the big things that we've sort of seen already from this episode, and, you know, I had the same reaction watching it, which was, where is all this coming from? Like, how do they know any of this? It feels like we missed a big chunk, but
yeah, it really did. Watching this, I was like, man, did I miss something in this last episode? Because Jukebox was setting it up so that she looked like she was into this boy. She gave him her number. Yeah. They went on a date. And all of a sudden, this episode started with this intervention from her mom in the church. And I was just like, is this a dream sequence? That's what I thought was happening at first, that she was in her mind getting scared of what would happen if her mom found out. And then it was like, no, this is actually happening. And I felt like I really missed something.
Yeah, it was. I am going to assume that the reason why they didn't show us that is because they're planning to, or at least going to tell us later this season. If they don't, I think they really missed the mark with this, because I think we needed to understand more how we got here. But I'm going to put on the tinfoil hat. This is a very sad tinfoil hat theory. I'm going to just say that from the jump. Sometimes these are more fun. But
all right,
I think there's a chance that Rock is the person who leaked this. And she may not have said it to Kenya. She may have said it to somebody within this group. Word travels fast. I think, if any of us have, been in a church community before, it can be a little bit gossipy. So I think what may have happened here is Rock may have put something out there with the explicit intention of knowing that it would get around, that this is something that Kenya and this group would end up doing, and it would cause Jukebox to drift away from them faster and effectively get this situation over with. Because Rock is smart enough to sort of know that, she can tell Jukebox whatever Jukebox, if he can just say whatever is true about Kenya, and Jukebox is not necessarily going to believe Rock because this is her mother, and she's always going to try to give her mother the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, this would be a pretty dark twist for Rock to do. But at the same time, I think she would be doing it with the explicit sort of idea of, I'm helping her because I'm getting this out of the way. You know, she's getting to know this earlier so that she's not in this for years before something terrible happens after the fact. Like, it's all terrible. It's just, this is something I could see Rock doing.
Rock set up her son to go and kill his own father.
Yeah.
I mean, she is willing to do what she feels is right to protect herself, to protect her kid. Could she do something like this to try to protect Jukebox and bring her back into the family? Yes, 100%. We've seen her do all kinds of stuff that she thinks, that the means to get to the end here, where it would bring Jukebox back into the fold of her loving family who will be there for her, get Kenya out of here, and move things in a better direction for Jukebox. I can absolutely see that happening, but let's talk about everything that is going on with Rock and her ideas of hiding things and doing things to try to make things better for her kid, because oh my goodness, there is a lot going on with what Rock is doing to try to protect Kanan. And, of course, she went and dealt with the mom situation to be like, don't touch my son.
Yeah.
He is underage. He can't give consent. And we saw later where he's like, I can. And she's like, no, dude, you're a child. You can't do that. And no, that's not happening anymore. That whole scene in the house with her and Kanan, where she was just like, if you have something to say, say it. And he knows that he knows something. He has read that paper. He knows that Howard is actually his dad, to the point that he's just like, it's this game of chicken of who is going to admit the truth first. Is Kanan going to say it? Is he going to get his mom to just admit it? And you can see that both of them kind of want the other person just to say it so that they can move forward, but it's not going to be that way. And really, it's not up to Kanan to have to confront his mom. It is up to her to just tell him the truth.
It's so incredible to me that Rock is like so intelligent and so crafty, and she can come up with all these plots and schemes. And I'm not defending a lot of these plots and schemes. They're pretty bad, but it's just like she can't see the forest through the trees when it comes to her own son. It's like her pride is so getting in the way here, her desire to control everything. And I think her own misconception about how good she is at controlling everything. I think she is by and large pretty good, but Kanan's not an idiot. Kanan, he might be young, but he's clearly been through a lot in his young life already. He's not going to take her word as gospel. And I just think at a certain point, she should have just come out and said something about this. Like, what's the absolute worst thing that's going to happen? Yeah, having Howard around is not going to be great given your line of work, but it's like, if you can be so manipulative when it comes to trying to keep this information away from Kanan, I feel like you could be really manipulative when it comes to trying to keep Howard out of your organization as well.
I think the biggest thing she's just worried about is that she is in this business, but she was this informant for a while when she was younger. And if that gets out, her business is toast. It just doesn't matter how old she was. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. It's just, I think she knows that connection in this world is just sort of the death of her business. But I think it's just the biggest criticism that I have of this storyline, because Rock is as smart as she is, she can't just deny, because she knows that this piece of paper with the DNA results exists.
Yes.
She's known that it's existed for a while. Howard even told her, you can't deny science. It's on this piece of paper. She knows that at some point that piece of paper could end up in Kanan's hands. And because of that, she needed to if she didn't want to come clean, fine, don't come clean. If you wanted to kind of like twist the truth a little bit so that it still protects your business and still protects your reputation, but still gets Kanan what he needs to know. She needed to craft something around that piece of paper so that if that piece of paper came to the surface, there was already a lie or something in place that keeps her son to her. She knew that that piece of paper existed.
I just don't know if she got too cocky. She just thought she would always have him. I don't know, but it's such a mistake. And it's like, it's frustrating me that Rock is sort of going down this road. Now, I will say this is not the most frustrating storyline on Power Book 3 Season 2 right now. It is by far Sal, the Facettis, Marco, that's what I care about any of these people. They can all go. I don't like them. I don't care about them. Here's the big problem. You guys gave us so much Unique in season 1. I think we can all agree Unique is incredible. Great character, great actor, so charismatic, so interesting. And you're replacing them with these like Sopranos knockoffs that just do not have a single thing that is interesting about them. Like even this whole idea of, okay, you took something from me, I gotta take something from... It's like, okay, we have seen this in 3,000 movies. You guys are not doing anything special with it. It's just like, I just don't care about seeing the family face off against them. I just don't.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like this wasn't kind of going on at that time or in this world, and that's all fine. But at least give it some kind of, I don't know, there needs to be something that's a little more interesting, because this story has been told in film and television so many times, which is why sort of crime family mob stuff is like a genre I just ignore, because it is a lot of the same stories being told over and over and over and over again without sort of some new shine on it. And that's what's happening here as well. It is very difficult to go from Unique last season, who was such an amazing foil back and forth. Now he's still here this season, but they're not really using him as much as they were. Obviously he's cooking something, slowly, but it's hard to go from such a fascinating back and forth, where these two are on the same level of, tossing it back and forth, to this storyline where it's like, you're responsible for killing my son, and now I'm going to take your brother. It's just like, get out of here. I really want that story to not continue next season. It needs to be done.
I'm just even thinking in my head about some of this stuff. It's like, even iconography, just like having something to attach to a character that's interesting. Like Unique, we had the jacket, and we had like all this really kind of cool stuff that made Unique stand out, uniquely, pun intended, on his own. Like he really had his history with Rock, his look, the people he was associated with. All of it was distinct. All of it was exciting.
Yeah.
Is there one thing about Sal, other than that he's generic Italian mobster, that like makes him different from every other generic Italian mobster? Like, I just can't think of it.
Yeah, I mean, even his son dying, I was just like, I'm not invested in that part of it. And I think that's what they did really well the first season, is they got us all very invested in Unique and the people around him and what he was doing. And there hasn't been as much of that with Sal and his family. Like, we had all that stuff all up in the woods, but I mean, none of us like Dominic at all. He's just such a creep, and he's so like, he's just an awful human being. That's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm not interested in him at all. So him, dying in this episode, I was like, okay, bye. Thank God that's over with. But then it's like everything with Marco, I'm just like, I just don't know anything about him. So I haven't gotten invested in him. So the fact that he's also gone, I was like, well, I didn't really know you, Marco, kind of thing. And it's this whole storyline also just with Tony, where I was like, oh my God, he's back. Why does Marvin care anymore? Like, it's time for all of this to move on. It could have been interesting, but it just didn't get off the finish, like the start line. It just didn't get going.
And now we're in this position where, Marvin really had a chance to move forward. Renee, she's there. She clearly cares about.
Oh, I think she's dead.
I know.
She's dead.
I agree with what you said at the start. I think she's dead too. I don't think they're gonna kill Marvin at this point. I just think that's sort of the spark plug. Like the other storyline going on right now, and I don't hate it anywhere near as much as Sal. It's just I still want more with Lulu and Ziza than what, because it feels like they're kind of on their own show at this point.
Yeah, they're not connected to anything really, and it feels like they don't know what to do with him. And because he's like, I'm moving away from the family and I want to get more into the music business and what I'm doing over here, it is like its own show. He's just not connected to anybody anymore. They need to just bring him back into the fold.
Yeah, I don't even think it'd be that hard. They've already sort of established that that studio and Crown are all in big trouble, and Lulu also could be in very, very big trouble now because of Crown's body.
Oh my goodness! So you're gonna dump this body in the river and not like take any ID or like business cards? I was just like, what? Okay, listen. Lulu's been in this business a long time working with Rock. Like the fact that he wouldn't have checked any of his pockets, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
He must got Ziza on the brain or something. He ain't thinking clearly because that is just like, I think I'm jaded because I've seen too many fictional characters get murdered, but this is like fictional murder 101 here. You take the ID, you make it hard for people to identify them.
Yeah, they need to figure out what to do with Lulu. It feels a lot like they just don't know what to do with him. That once they took him away from the business and away from the family, that he's just kind of a lost character, which really sucks because he's a really interesting character, especially in season 1, where he was having sort of that push and pull in his own sort of mind and heart about, do I want to be part of this? Do I want to have my own sort of thing? There's a way to kind of balance that out. Like any of you who were watching Animal Kingdom over the years, that show just ended. It's great. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch it. They had the character of Darren in that, where it was sort of like, he was still part of the family business, but he wanted to have his own thing that was just his, which was his bar. And he was able to kind of have the thing that was going to be his future, his legacy, that was clean of the family business, but he was still connected to the family and what was going on. Like, even if he wasn't always doing jobs with them, he was still connected to everything that was going on with his brothers.
You guys can make this happen. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Just give us something. Last thing I'll say here, I want to give London Brown a few flowers for Marvin, just because he's so good in this role.
He's good.
And it makes me so mad that this universe, the Emmys just don't care. They don't look at it. They just snub it. It's just like he is right now. I think, I think Pattina's great too, but like, I think London.
And so is Haley for Jukebox. She's so incredible.
It's just everything that London has done 2 seasons with this character, going, extreme to the other extreme to the side of him. It's just so unbelievable. And if they do kill off Marvin, which we don't think they will.
No, I don't think so.
No, but London could be a lead on another show, and I think it would be successful.
Yeah, he's incredible.
All right, well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We don't want you guys to miss any other updates we've got coming your way. Follow us on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, and we'll see you here next time.